So,
answers,
do you think there is anything that our Congress, our president, can do to help combat the internet censorship that we're seeing? With
Yeah, I
Infowars,
do actually. One
etc.?
thing that so just to put it in a nutshell, internet censorship is the #1 issue in America today.
Absolutely.
Internet censorship, because if we don't have freedom of speech, we don't have freedom of thought. If we don't have freedom of thought, we don't have actual freedom of choice. And the left likes to say that they're pro-choice, but all choice comes from the ability to discuss, to converse, to listen, to agree or to disagree, right?
Absolutely.
That's freedom. That's real, actual freedom. And so what the president can do, one thing that I think would really help with a lot of the political censorship we're seeing, and by the way, this is censorship we're seeing in some cases from the government, in some cases from Silicon Valley, the
Big
corporate
tech,
world.
yeah.
Censorship is censorship, okay? Regardless of where it's coming from. And so what I would actually say is we need to stop looking at it necessarily as an issue of censorship, but actually look at it as an issue of discrimination. Because what it is discrimination on the basis of political orientation. And so what I would do, what I think our president should do, what I think Congress should look at, is whether or not these companies are discriminating on the basis of what someone's identification is in terms of their politics. We talk about identification of gender, we talk about identification of sexual orientation. Why don't we add political orientation to the list of protected classes when it comes to discrimination? You cannot discriminate. And then, by the way, that's not left, that's not right, that's not middle, that's not center, that's not green, that's not so, whatever. If you're a communist or a libertarian, right, you should not be able to discriminate on the basis of someone's political beliefs, period, full stop, end of story. Because, and if I'll say it this way, if you're not standing up for speech that you disagree with, then you don't actually support freedom of speech.
Yeah. And do you think, is there a sort of attitude on the mainstream conservatives around here that they're just not paying attention to this issue, at least the older generations and the sort of establishment Republicans?
I don't think there is, because I think there's a generational gap, and that has to do with the different approach to technology.
Yeah.
That from someone who's been, someone who grew up in the 50s or 60s,
right,
versus someone who might be a millennial or younger. The relationship to technology is different, the use of technology is different, and the ubiquitous nature of social media and the way that it allows younger generations to connect with one another and to connect with just their democracy in this country, in our republic, is wildly different, and it's changing. My son is 9 months old, right? And
Okay.
so I think about things now. It changes my perspective, because I think about things, what's it going to be when he's my age? I'm 34. So what's it going to be like in 34 years from now when he's growing up? To him, picking up the phone and calling somebody is going to be, to me, is going to be the same thing to him as DMing his friend on Twitter or using a Snapchat story to talk to one of his friends. And so social media will be his primary method, his primary venue of communication. And that's what we need to protect in this country.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jack.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Take care.
Yeah, you too.